Alright, so I want to start this video talking about Andrew Jacked. The Romania Pro is this weekend, and I think that's the main thing that everyone's talking about right now, so I figured talk about a little bit of the lineup. Honestly, I think it's not even a conversation we should be having about who's going to be winning this show. I think everyone knows that Andrew's going to be, pretty in shape and coming to win this show. I've heard some people talking about Johan possibly being able to beat him if Andrew is off, and about how Saucerati was beating him in prejudging in FIBO last year. But at the end of the day, I think this is only a little bit after the Olympia, and the last show was FIBO was significantly after the Olympia, after the Arnold even, so I think Andrew will be on. Another guy I want to talk about right here was 6th place at the EVLS Prague, and I think that he's poised to do some damage here. I think his posing was a little bit off here. His quads are crazy, his arms are crazy, he has a good V-taper, his waist isn't bad. I think he looks really good, but his posing was kind of letting him down. You can see he's not really stepping on his quads, and they're big and they're in shape seeming, but they just don't have the detail that you will see when he's really stepping on them. I think that if he comes in possibly harder and more full, and he comes in and poses a little bit better, he can probably be right up there with John. I mean, this guy's not bad from the back. You can see him here against a big guy like Tim, and he's not small. I think this guy and Roberto Bonomo were pretty underlooked. I know that Pablo Lopez placed higher, and I haven't heard a lot of people talking about him either, but I did hear Milos mention Roberto Bonomo and this guy who placed 6th place. And honestly, I think that's well deserved. They looked really crazy. Honestly, I think they could have placed higher, but this was actually a pretty competitive lineup, and Pablo is really complete. I think his back shots are slightly better than Akeem's, and he's just a little bit more well-rounded somehow with that, able to beat Akeem. So you do have to give him his credit, but I do think that this guy can do some serious damage heading into Romania here. Alright, so this is the guy that I was comparing to the other guy I was talking about who placed 6th at Poland. I just want to point out how this guy has a really similar physique to Rolly Winkler on the upper body. He has that crazy pop, but also it also has that really crazy insertions. He just really is like so full, and then he has also a good shape and insertion to it, and it has that crazy bubbly look. He has a really good side leg. You can see he's hard there. That side tricep's crazy. This guy beat Akeem Williams, who recently was top 4, I think, in Arnold Classic 2024, which is a pretty stacked year with Hadi and Samson being really on, guys like John De La Rosa being really on, and you can't count out guys like this who are coming up, who are just so complete. And this guy's wide too. He's not really missing anything. I think one of the things that it came down to with this guy is that he really has his midsection dialed through all these pictures. These other guys have small waists, but they weren't necessarily posing as well, and I think that was probably the biggest thing. He also has this really interesting quad shape. He has a really interesting sweep, and I think that amount of pointy sweep and the fullness in the legs with the bubbliness in the upper body and a decent enough back to be able to beat Akeem is what ended up making the difference. If you see here this silhouette, it looks exactly like Rolly Winkler. If I told you that was Rolly Winkler in his earlier years, you would probably believe that was Rolly Winkler. This guy is really dangerous. I think he can definitely come in probably bigger considering his recent improvements from last year, and be really comparable to top guys at the Olympia next year. I mean, theoretically, it should be even more stacked at next Olympia than it was at this one. And I think Nick will be on at the next Olympia. I think Samson will be on. I think Hardy's going to be better if he can get in the country at least. I think if Beirut still has a qualification, he can really dial in and really just snipe an easy show coming into the Olympia and really present a better package, because I think he was tired from the whole entire Middle East tour that he did throughout this whole year. And I think that's probably the main thing that made Beirut not place as well this year in the Olympia, is all that stress of maybe not even getting the pro card. So, I mean, this guy is beating some really good people here, and who knows where he can place. I mean, he's not missing anything really except for... Also confirmed for the show, we have Piotr Wojtowicz. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is a Polish guy. We saw him at the Olympia, and we saw him before the Olympia in a few of these shows. This guy's just out of this world. He has this goofy cartoon-like look. Everything about him, just that tiny waist that just seems edited. The big quads, the bubbly upper body that just sticks out and is so wide. That guy's gonna be crazy, and I think he's a favorite to win. So Nick Walker recently posted these videos. I'm questioning whether Nick Walker is gonna be coaching himself for this Arnold. He's been making some comments about how he has accrued some knowledge from a lot of different types of coaches, and he's hinting towards having that amount of knowledge to be able to coach himself. And I think he looks really crazy here. I mean, he obviously came in not dry enough, not conditioned enough, and I think he was holding more water, which made his waist even worse. But he seems to be really on track, focusing on building his back, his quads, his chest, and I think mainly his quads. If he can build those up, if he can come in dry and in condition and be able to hold his stomach, like we saw at Pittsburgh, yes, Derek was off, and I think Derek has found a whole new method. He's unlocked it, but we saw that Nick can be very dangerous, so he's in the running depending on how he shows up to win. I also want to talk about Blessing here. He's showing this off-season update. He's one of those guys that just looks crazy in the off-season, but he can't quite nail it when he's coming into these shows. And I think that is something that he's been struggling with for a while now, just as far as getting into the show healthy. I think he was having sleep issues, and he just kind of can't seem to get this water off. There's just this layer of water on him he can't seem to get off. Another crazy guy I want to talk about here is Andrei Smaev. I know that he's been circulating. Everyone's already talked about him, but no one's really talking about how this guy, if he was on stage at these shows like Dubai, if he was actually locked into bodybuilding. I mean, you see here he's just working out. He could win. He's great. I want to talk about this guy, Andrei Smaev, more. I'm not sure if you guys have followed him closely enough to know anything about him or not, but he's just a really strange anomaly of a guy. I mean, the way that he trains, everything about him, he seems kind of mysterious. I'm not sure if a lot of you guys know who he is just in the Western world, because he seems to be mostly popular in Russia. He has specific Russian accounts that are really popular, and he has only a little bit of content that's actually filmed in a way that Americans can understand, just because there isn't subtitles and they aren't speaking English, and if there is, and they're not very good. It's also just a really different style of content that they film in Russia. It's a little bit weird to watch, if I'm being honest, but you can follow what he does, and it's just really strange. I mean, he kind of encompasses every single type of strength sport in his training, and down to the way his diet is even. I mean, you can see this guy sometimes doing he'll do thousands of reps of just these short range of motion curls with his wrists. And I think that's one of those things that, given those huge hands, that everyone's talking about how when they meet him, he has these massive hands, and he does. And I'm not sure what the thought process behind those thousands of reps is, but I know he does them interchanging. He only does it on one side and he'll switch. So, I mean, maybe for a small muscle group like that, that amount of reps is what has given him all those big hands. And I don't know, this guy is just an absolute monster. I mean, I'm not sure why he doesn't make too much appearances in the Western world or at bodybuilding competitions. I'm not sure if he has a visa issue or not, but this guy could be seriously dangerous if he really dialed into bodybuilding. I mean, he's just doing all this crazy training, and this guy will eat crazy. He'll eat like a bunch of tuna in one meal. He'll have like a bunch of cottage cheese in one meal. He'll do like a bunch of apple sauces before he trains, and he just do these like crazy calisthenics. This guy's